2020. Please turn off your cells or put them on silent. And after that, arise and say with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Roll call. Councilor Miera.
Aquí.
Councilor Waldman.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Alsobrook will be, we'll see, absent right now. And Councilor Burkett will be here shortly.
Yeah, he's stuck in-
I'm on the phone though, listening.
Awesome, great. And Councilor Murray?
Here.
Good, we have a quorum. Approval of agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
So, motion by Councilor Murray, second by Councilor
Oh, Counselor Waldman.
Woolman, seconded. Okay, any discussion?
It's okay. You got it.
No discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have two presentations tonight. We're very lucky to have persons from the MRGCD and from the Bureau of Reclamation to talk to us about projects that are occurring on the Rio Grande adjacent to Corrales. First, we'll have a presentation by Jankoba Doherty. He's a project manager for BR. He will give us a presentation for like 20 minutes, and then we'll entertain questions for like 10 minutes thereafter. And then MRGCD with Jason Kasuga will give his update, and we'll entertain questions to MRGCD after his presentation. So first up, Mr. Doherty. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for the invite. Thank you, Mayor Hashimoto and council members for having us here today. It's always good to get update on projects. Sometimes we try to avoid the hard questions, but hopefully there's none today. I'm Jankoba Doherty. I'm a civil engineer and project manager for the Department of the Interior Bureau of Reclamation. And
Jankoba, excuse me one second. Can you pick up the microphone and
Oh.
maybe hold it a little closer so everyone can hear you on Zoom? Thank you.
yeah, so I'm Jankoba Doherty. I'm a civil engineer and the project manager for the Department of the Interior Bureau of Reclamation. And we're working on the Corrales River My 199 project, which is right down by the Corrales siphon. And so a lot of people mistake that with the siphon project. So I think that's MRGCD's question. So next, for the outline, pretty much just going to go and introduce the Bureau of Reclamation, because I know a lot of people mistake us for BLM, and we're not BLM. I know that's a big mistake. And just kind of go over a bit of our authority, what gives us the authority to do the project, and I'll quickly go over a project overview, and then some project implementation and sequencing, as well as the river rerouting that we have in place, which I think is going to be a big concern for folks here today. Next. So the Bureau of Reclamation is responsible for river maintenance projects, river delivery, and associated facilities on the Middle Rio Grande. So we also are concerned with public safety and below the 2-year water flow mark, and so above that 2-year flood peak mark, then that's the Army Corps. So, for instance, we had to do a couple of interim projects when we see that 2-year water mark is leading to maybe a lateral migration of the river and intense protection of sport levee, riverside drains, and canals. We also try to mitigate sediment in terms of aggradation, degradation, so that just too much accumulation or too much loss of sediment in certain reach of the river. We try to mitigate that. We also try to mitigate for vegetation encroachment and again sediment management. We can go to the next one. So for the Middle Rio Grande River Maintenance Authority, we got our authority back in 1948, 1950 from through the Flood Control Act. And so here it says it's 260 river mile, but that's just counting from Cochiti down to Caballo, but it's actually about almost 300 river miles from Vallarta to Caballo. And so that's the map up there. That's the map you see up there. So that's the extent of the river that we manage, well, that I manage for the river maintenance for the Bureau of Reclamation there. And we also work on the Rio Grande channels and the low flow conveyance channel south of here. And I think MRGCD has the hand in that too. You can go next. And so for this project, the project is just a quick overview. I know we've given a presentation here before, I think almost a year ago. But just a quick overview, the location is from the Arroyo de la Barranca, just upstream of the Harvey Jones, which is here. And so we are moving just upstream of the Harvey Jones all the way up towards the Corrales, up to the siphon. So it's about, I want to say about a mile stretch of the river. And some of the issues here is the river is very incised, and its season is pretty much the river is deepening so much that certain part of the river is about 20 to 15 feet from the floodplain. And I'm sure you will understand, where that concerns will come into play. And because of that deepening, the river is creating a lot of erosion that's, leading to that lateral migration. The river is slowly moving towards the levee. And so we are concerned about that. And that is part of our authority in terms of, public safety. And that meandering, can lead to river levee breach, flooding and property damage. And when I say flooding now, a lot of folks might think, I don't think so, but I think Jason, I have a picture in this presentation from Jason that show how the river was in 2023, which was just about 2 feet from overbanking right on Corrales here. So it's a concern, even though we don't have a lot of high flows in New Mexico, but when we do get the high flows here, we need to be prepared and we need to make sure that the river is fortified enough to handle those flows. Next. So just part of the trends over the years, what happened, the floodplain in this area is pretty confined by 2 levee systems. So in normal systems, we allow the river to do what it wants to do. But because we have levees that binds the river, we have to be certain that it doesn't go too left, to right, that it threatens the levee, because if the levee breach, that's going to lead to loss of property. And so we can only allow so much narrowing. And part of the issue here is that if you look at the picture, the far left picture in 96, the river is much wider. It's almost like semi-braided. And then fast forward to 2005, because of, we're not getting those high flows anymore to move sediment downstream. Those sediments are creating these island or inset floodplains. Like for instance, if you look at the Corrales siphon, they're creating these inset floodplains, and over time, these floodplains create vegetated zones, and those vegetation zones in turn confine the river, and so the river has to go somewhere, so it ends up just getting deeper and deeper, and that's why we have that 20 to 15 feet sometime above. And I think the fire chief can attest to it, doing high flows, someone dropping a 20-foot, fast moving river, it's hard to, rescue them. So that's some of the issues we're seeing here. You can go next to the next one. So the primary goal of this project is obviously making sure that we meet our authority, and that's the bank stabilization to reduce the levee failure. And then our secondary goal is to do a reach-wise energy dissipation ecosystem functions. So if you look on the map there, it's a multifaceted project. And normally our river maintenance project, we don't do all 4 or 5 things at once. We'll pretty much do one or two of those things you see on the map. So because this reach is a very damaged reach, one of the most incised reach in this from Angostura to Montaño, we decided to go with this because this will lead to pretty much more bang for the buck for this type of project. So we're doing side channels here. The side channels are going to help to, bring up some of that groundwater levels. We're going to raise the riverbed by 2 to 3 feet, which is also going to help raise that groundwater levels. Because this river lost a lot of sediment, we're installing grade control features, which are going to help stabilize the bed. If you look at the river now, all you see are like high gravel, but the mean sediment there should be like really sugary sand. And so that tells you that, we're losing a lot of function in this reach. And also we're installing some bank protections, putting some bank protection in place at three bends, the corral siphoning bends. And then another side, if you look right, and if you walk around, we have a lot of construction stuff going on. Look across to the Pueblo, that in one year, in one runoff season, I think that bank migrated up close to 80 feet. And so there was, in 23, we were losing about 4 to 5 feet of that bank a day. Just, yeah. So those are some of the issues that we're trying to face here. Now, I'll go to, I think what the main reason the mayor is concerned about this project, you can go next. And I think that I will be concerned too is about the river diversions and making sure that, I know Corrales is a farming community, so that we're kind of coordinating with Corrales and MRGCD so that we're not diverting the river during times that you guys are doing your irrigations. So we're gonna be doing 3 river diversions. Those 3 river diversions, we're gonna actually do our first river diversion on March 3rd. And that's gonna be in phase 1 in the map you see over there. We're gonna move the river towards the Sandia Pueblo Reservation. And then the next diversion is gonna be back onto the Corrales Bosque, which into that constructed side channel. And then, but we're hoping that will be sometime in May or June. And then the last diversion that we're gonna do, which I think will affect your irrigation, is the upper diversion up at the Corrales siphon. But we plan to do that after the irrigation season. So after we've done all of our 2 diversions, 2 phases, we're gonna wait until irrigation season is done, and then we're gonna do that diversion so that we're not hindering any irrigation that you guys have planned. And another thing, I guess, just to like a public announcement, just to bring up is doing the diversions, at least the first diversions on the Sandia Reservation. As you know, it's a reservation. It's not gonna be, and I think we put a flyer in the mayor's message, that you won't be, if you're a river user and you're on a kayak or paddling, you won't be able to get off the river on the Sandia Reservation because it's a private land. So you have to navigate through that side channel. And so doing the channel right now is meant to, you can go to the next. I think I have that in the next. Yeah, so the side channel is designed to accumulate flows of coachity. So about 650 to 950 cubic feet per second. And so the side channel should be able to handle all of the flows we expect to see in this runoff. But in cases where the channel cannot handle it, we're gonna move the river back into the main. Into the main stem, and so that we're not losing water and we're not getting that overbank, because I'm sure the state and folks will not be happy with that. We're also working with MRGCD consistently, and we're working with Army Corps in terms of regulating the flows, especially on March 3rd. We're going to work with them to regulate the flow to make it a little lower so that we're able to put our cover dam in place so we can divert the river. And then we're expecting that flow expected to stay within the constructed channel capacity as well. And just the picture as I told you about from Jason from 23, that's the river there. That's where we now have the rocks at the siphon. And if you go now, you can see the difference, how the river was in 23 compared to what it is now. So, I mean, just to tell you that even though we don't get those high flows, but yes, that we do get high flows, we see things like this, and it usually calls for emergency action on our part. And I think that's it. That's all I had. Thanks for the photo too, Jason. Any questions?
Councilors have any questions for Mr. Doherty? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So phase 3, when you said it's after irrigation season, are we looking at that as in November? Because even though we may have a shorter irrigation season, depending on how much water we have, are you looking to postpone that until actually the official irrigation season is over with? Or are you going to depend on what the MRGCD tells you, move it up and then finish it?
Yeah, we're gonna try to work with MRGCD as best as possible. Because I mean, some of the reasons why, I mean, if it's before November and our construction crew is available at that time to divert the river, we will try to work with MRGCD and divert the river. It's just because our crew, if we have to wait for if the irrigation season goes on till November, we will have to wait. That we don't have any, anything against that. We have to wait. We have to wait. But in the case where the irrigation season is over earlier, I don't think we will want to wait until November, because if our construction crew is available, because if we have to, they're from Socorro and they're staying here, we have to get them a hotel during the week. And so if they have to demobilize and then mobilize and come back, that's going to be a lot of cost to the taxpayer. And so we try to avoid that. But if irrigation season goes up to November, we will definitely wait until that time.
Well, I guess the question then is, if you do go ahead and say, they tell us that the season's ending in July, you move in and do the work, but then they get some water later on, that's going to impact anything that we can deliver to Corrales. Is that correct?
And then if that happens, we will divert the river back, because the river diversion we're going to be doing is going to be based on a cover dam. And so we can always move the cover dam from there and have the river. So and that's why we're working with the Army Corps as well. If we deem that there's going to be higher flows, because once the Army Corps gets river in the Cochiti, they can keep it. They have to release that. If they say, oh, okay, we're going to get higher flows, that maybe you guys will be able to, siphon more water out of the river, then in that case, we will remove the cover dam and have the river go back into the main stem.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Councilor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. During the phase that the diversion runs through Pueblo land, will there be clear signage letting people know where that starts, where that ends, so people aren't disembarking in areas they're not supposed to?
Yeah, I actually just got a sign today from we're gonna have a sign a mile up, 1 mile before the diversion. We're gonna have a sign right at the diversion. And the diversion, you'll see it because it's gonna be a high cover dam. It's gonna be higher than the siphon. And so you definitely won't be able to and we'll put like visible tips around there too, so that we'll make sure that people will see it and it's plainly visible.
Okay, and just one more question about that. I assume in case of emergency that rule does not apply. Will that be on the sign as well, that if somebody needed to emergently get out of a boat?
I would imagine, yeah, in emergency, I mean, I imagine if it's an emergency, you have to get out of on the Pueblo land. I mean, I'm sure that you'll have to do it. And we also plan to work with the fire chief to, once we divert the river, for them to float it and see how the channel is working, and so that if they do need to conduct rescue, they're comfortable with how the channel is.
Thanks.
I have a question. Now, you gave the start date for phase one as March 3rd. When's the start date for the second phase and third phase?
So the first phase already began, and the diversion is going to happen March 3rd.
Right.
The second diversion, we're not sure yet because it's construction, and so things happen. So that's what we're saying. It might be May or June, but we will definitely update you guys before we divert that river. And then the third phase is going to be after the irrigation season. And again, we'll update you all on that.
Well, thank you very much for your flexibility.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions from the council? Councilor Murray.
Yeah, I just thought of another one. So in the rechanneling of the river, are you removing any vegetation that is encroaching on the river?
Yeah, we are going to move some vegetation because within the channel we're trying to raise the riverbed. So any vegetation that's within there, we're gonna have to mow it out.
Seems like that would be a good time to get rid of some of that vegetation that's encroaching, taking the water away from the river and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm also planning to work with the fire chief and I think the Corrales Bosque commission in terms of, we're gonna do some plantings. As you saw, we remove a lot of trees from the river. We are working with a Rio Grande Return to do plantings, and so I'm working with the fire chief and the Bosque Commission to see what type of plantings, and maybe the people of Corrales to see what type of plantings you would like to see in your bosque, and that maybe will take out less water from your.
Great, thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions from council? Lacking none.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jacuba. Appreciate it. And next up, we will have Jason Kasuga, CEO and Chief Engineer of the MRGCD, to explain a little bit about MRGCD's update.
Mayor, members of the council, as always, appreciate the opportunity to be here. A lot of the information I give is information that MRGCD provided to the board at our meeting week before last, I think. As many folks know, there's not a ton of activity going on at the siphon on the Corrales side. The project is still going forward. We did have issues with the conductor casing along with an auger that the contractor had in there. That caused us to pause and demob. Work has been going on the Sandia side, so the project is going forward. Folks should start to see, I think, sometime in March, late March, the conductor casing going back in. We expect sometime in April, drilling will resume on the west side heading to the east side. Other than that, I don't want to get into too many details about the technical work that's gone on. The project is substantially the same as the project is substantially the same as it was designed. So with any project, there's hiccups. This one, I don't know that we could have foreseen. Maybe the contractor could have, maybe they couldn't have. So I'm going to pause, grab some water real quick. Sorry. Seems like piece of machinery. So the community should start to feel our contractor and a lot more work beginning to take place as we get into March. So there'll be some activities if you pay attention to our board meetings about change orders and those kinds of things. I expect that activity will be taking place in the March board meeting. So yeah, in terms of the plans that you guys have seen, the video that we showed about the drilling operation of how we're crossing the river, those plans are substantially the same. Again, it was really a hiccup in this beginning piece about this conductor casing. Related to, I'm just going to keep going forward, just related to Corrales siphon issues. We are coordinating, and I appreciate Jan Koba. We are coordinating with BOR on the work that they're doing, how the river is going to be moved. If anybody's paying any attention to the water reports that MRGCD does at our board meetings, and you go look at those, you look at the maps we're putting up in the basins, I mean, we're looking at 50% or less in those basins, right? For practical purposes at this point in time, I expect spring runoff to be a blip. In many instances, I mean, it was in the 70s today, we may be experiencing some level of spring runoff in terms of what's in the river already. So the irrigation season we will be beginning to operate the irrigation facilities starting this Thursday, further south, beginning to move our way north. The work that they're doing on March 3rd won't affect what we're doing with the pumps because we won't be up here with the pumps started by then. It'll be pretty quick after they finish their work into that second week in March or so that we'll be up with the pumps running up here. The way the river system is and with the amount of water we have in it, we don't have enough water for us to divert in all of our diversions at one time. So as opposed to previous years, even with the pumps, we brought kind of every area up that really needed it at one time. We don't have the kind of water to do that. The start of our irrigation season can't break the river. And what I mean by that is it can't separate the river from continuously flowing all the way down to Elephant Butte. So I don't expect their work early in the season that they're doing with what they're doing to put their culverts in to conflict with any of our startup. Related to what the counselor asked and what Jan Koba answered, I do think there's a fair conversation for us to have with reclamation when we get into a point in the season, depending on what the hydrology looks like and depending on the way monsoon season shakes out. Counselor, to your question, what will really make or break whether or not the pumps ultimately can stay on or not will be the degree and the consistency of monsoon events. At some point in time, though, I think there will be a conversation there, and there probably should be for the balancing of the amount of money that's being moved through and efficiency of projects of whether or not we can hold those pumps on standby for a monsoon event. And the reason why I say that is the monsoon event, even this last year, we had micro events that we didn't turn those pumps back on. We did it towards the end of the season. on a unique event that lasted for days. And so Jancoba did mention that if there's a big event that puts water into Cochiti, they're having to release stored water. I think that could create the scenario. But the water in the river has to rise to a certain degree for those pumps to be operational. And that will be a balancing act. We will always press, I think, in our minds to be ready to deliver irrigation water. But it will also, and you guys know, if we go 2.5 months or longer without water hitting the system, in many instances, there's a reasonable question about can we even get water through the system? It's like recharging it and restarting over. So I know that's not great news for the community. I'm not saying that we will or we won't do that. We don't even have a monsoon outlook yet. I can tell you right now, the next 3-month outlook is higher than average temperatures, lower than average precipitation. Right, that's what we're entering the irrigation season with. What will drive a lot of the monsoon season will be depending on whether or not we shift out of this La Nina period that we're in, which is generally drier. We need some patterns to shift from that standpoint. That standpoint, and it's just too early. We don't have any of those predictions yet. It's any forecast beyond the 3-month one, quite frankly, is not a great one to go from. So I hope it's good news for folks and people are relieved. I do expect that we will be gravity again. The work that Reclamation is doing won't have bearing on irrigation season next year because we're going to have a successful siphon project. I'm not worried about the timeline. We're good through December. The drilling timeline that I'm hearing is adequate to be underneath and through the river once we get back to drilling again. So I don't have a ton of angst or reason to be concerned at this point in time. If that changes, I'll be back here and let you know that. But right now, the meeting that I sat in with my technical team, which included Wilson and Company, I should have introduced them. They're in the audience today. I have Eric Zamora and I have Chris Lopez from our board of directors back as well. So MRGCD is here representing that message, we think. And to the degree that we can see this project will be on track, will be successful. If any of that changes, though, we'll be here to talk to you about it. So that, Mayor and Council, I will stand for questions.
Councilor Knight.
Thank you, Mayor. So are the pumps that are down there now the ones that were down there last year?
Yes, ma'am. The pumps that are there, it's really expensive to move them out. Our contractor has been in to take care of those pumps, but it's a significant operation to mob and demob those pumps. And if the contractor actually takes them out, there's no guarantee we'll get them back because they move them across the nation. So we actually had to pay a standby charge monthly just to keep the pumps there so that they stay ours. But if we ever let them go, the contractor, the way the contracting works, there was no guarantee we would have pumps. So they are the same ones.
And do you think, as you said, that the whole project will be done by December 2026?
Mayor, members of the council, I kind of have to be done. The money expires and reverts back to the state from the Water Trust Board. The project's either complete and successful, or we ran into a very unexpected issue while we were drilling, or something else. So there is no extensions that we can have. The money's been extended. That extension was given because of the easement issue. So the timeline that we've laid out with the money that we have, that timeline comes to an end with that money in December. We have to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Suga.
Councilor Waldman.
Thank you, Mayor. Jason, you indicated that there was a piece of machinery that broke. Is that correct?
Yeah. So if anybody's walked out there, hopefully nobody has gone down into the pit. I've heard rumors that maybe we've had friends explore deeper than they should have. But if you go out there, the conductor casing is the big metal pipe, and within that pipe there was an auger within there, and there was an issue with the auger that is down in that pipe.
Has that been replaced?
No. So right now that's that conductor casing, and the auger is going to stay there. We're going to go forward with a different conductor casing and start drilling again.
On the east side?
No, we're going to start on the west and move east. the angle of attack is going to change a little bit. And there we'll be exploring once we actually get into putting down concrete about really trying to jump in and salvage what's there. But right now, our goal is to get back to drilling. The salvage operation of that could take longer and require a little bit more coordination since we may have to enter the flowing area of the river. We're not interested in doing that right now. We'll rather take care of that when we get into flat work.
So do you have a piece of machinery to continue?
Yeah, the contractor has the ability to continue. We just needed to step back and make sure we address what went wrong with the first casing and the approach to that. And my technical team has dealt with that. They have coordinated with the contractor, and they both the contractor and our technical engineering team feel highly confident that that we'll be good to go.
Is this an unusual occurrence that this happens, or is this?
Yeah, without getting into the details of what the contractor did and didn't do, there'll be conversations as we do a project of what we learned from that. The fact of the matter is that the piece of machinery got stuck, and we needed to be able to move forward on a path that if we would have stopped to try to resalvage the conductor casing right now, and that would have put us beyond a project timeline that I'm comfortable with.
Would there be financial implications for the contractor?
There will be financial implications for the contract.
Right.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Right. Good. Thank you.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So with the realignment of the river, and it looks like it's going to be a narrower channel, how does that affect the siphon's ability to get water? Does that mean that you have a smaller area in which the water will be percolating down into the siphon, or?
Yeah, so the river project actually will have no bearing on the way water accumulates in the siphon. The siphon will be a fully self-contained pipe. It's not perforated in any way, shape, or form. The siphon that's going in will receive its water completely from the east side of the river, from the diversion at Angostura. So it'll be a completely fed from the Corrales main like it historically was. The type of facility that's in the river right now historically was not, there was no perforation to it. There was no draining into that in terms of filling that pipe. It was a pressurized pipe, a pressurized siphon pipe. So their project should have no bearing on MRGCD's new pipeline going underground. I think we're going to be 40 some odd feet underneath the river at that point in time. So again, their issue, we're not relying on any percolating of water. It's not a perforated pipe. It's not that kind of, not that kind of design.
Okay, I must have misunderstood how it worked, because it sounded like, before with the old barrel staves and so forth, it sounded like it was perforated and the water just, percolated down into the pipe and then it was went in.
Nope, that'll be, and I apologize if that was my confusion to you, Counselor, but it is a self-contained pipe. All the water that will move through that siphon will come from the Corrales main.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a siphon adjacent question. It sounds like your prediction for our water situation this year is pretty dire. It sounds like we have probably a significant level of concern that we're going to have depth at any point that's going to be deep enough to pump out. Can you just add a little color to that? I mean, I know this is specific to the siphon, but to the people involved in agriculture in the village, even not knowing what's beyond 3 months, for the next 3 months, it sounds like there should be a high level of concern. And am I misinterpreting that?
Counselor, or sorry, Mayor, members of the council, no, you're not. I think, Counselor Burkett, you heard it correctly. The pumping operation is predicated on water in the river at a high enough level. And what I mean by that is not necessarily, it's a combination of flow rate that then produces a water surface elevation of a certain height, right, that allows those pumps to operate. The snowpack forecast is abysmal. It's weird. If last year was one of the worst hydrologic spring runoffs on record, we're gonna run right up against that. We may be breaking records again this year. And so we know we'll have water to get the season up and running. But quite frankly, and again, it's possible spring runoff is done by the end of May into early June.
Right.
And so That is it's a tough message, and I hear that. It's important to get the siphon back operational. It's undisputed that Corrales stands at a disadvantage to other water users, though there will be other water users able to receive water by gravity that Corrales could have had access to longer even after the pumps go off. I know that, and we're aware of it. That's why we're working. It's why a lot of energy around is getting this done. And I've talked to the community about that. We've been honest with you guys about that. We recognize how difficult it's been here. That's why we want a successful project. We want to get this community receiving its water back by gravity, so that the shortages you feel are at least in parity to the other shortages that all irrigators feel on this river. Because right now, that is not in parity. You are at a disadvantage compared to all other MRGC irrigators.
Just one other question. So I know there are balancing mechanisms for water usage on a grand scale, but knowing that the past couple years that we have been at a disadvantage, is there any sort of tool that you guys have in your toolkit to where the next couple years we can try to shift the balance back to where Corrales preferentially gets water, knowing that other communities were using our water for the past 3 years?
So the Councilor Burkett, members of the council, no, we share shortages across, and I think the best that we can hope for is returning to parity. I will say this, and I've gone on record last year. The Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District, I authorized the use of San Juan Chama water last year that primarily benefited this community. It was a very small quantity of water. It had the utility of using it was trying to get and keep the river in this community to a spot where the pumps could operate. And that strategic pot of water had very little value to everybody else. It was such a small quantity of water. So I do think that we're making some of those decisions now. Not everybody loves that decision either, right? People wonder if I should have used it sooner, not used it at all, right? And so those conversations have been happening, and I think we're trying to find as much equity as possible. But if we go into future years, we continue that conversation of who's going to give up something to give you more, and the communities around you didn't break the siphon, right? And so if we took that approach, we would be asking communities to give up something to give you more on an issue that wasn't their fault. And from an equity standpoint, I don't know how the district goes into those communities and says, hey, you should give up more on an issue that wasn't your fault so that they can be made whole, or what we think whole looks like.
Any other questions from councilors? Councilor Alsobrooke, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Lacking questions? Thank you very much, Jason, for coming and dialoguing with us and letting us know how you feel. So thank you. Thank you for your team. Next item on the agenda is reports. And are there any questions from the council about the administrator's report? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So Melanie, with the DOT meeting, has there been any movement with DOT cleaning up the pathway from the Montessori to the rec center and maybe letting us put in a crosswalk across Coronado? Have they had any conversations?
Yeah, that was actually in our last bi-monthly meeting. So the one that we had most recently was strictly to discuss the PAR and how it relates to the safety studies that they're doing. But yes, in our bi-monthly meeting, they are looking at that. They're still trying to determine the ownership of that, and we're trying to locate all of the agreements, the maintenance agreements, to find out if it's our responsibility as the village or their responsibility as the DOT.
I mean,
So-
would it behoove us to go ahead and sweep it? I mean, it would seem like that would be a minimal cost to us and at least get the dirt off of the pathway.
We can look into that.
Okay, thank you.
And they did say they don't have a problem with us putting a crosswalk across Coronado, because that's the village's road. And, you know, it's not in any of their right of way. So it is something that we'll have to look at budget time, adding into the budget.
Okay.
So, and also, just real fast before more questions, I would just like to thank Representative Kathleen Cates, who is,
Leaving.
oh, she was here, for all of our appropriations that came through capital outlay. The full list is in the administrator's report. But additionally, last Friday at about 5 o'clock, I got an email from Congresswoman Melanie Stansberry's office, and the village has received $1.092 million in appropriation money from Melanie Stansberry for our bypass for the wastewater line to go down Loma Larga. So that was an appropriation request we had made last year, and it got signed into law last Friday. So we will have money to build the bypass once Stantec completes the design of that line for us. So,
Councilor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. Melanie, the safe routes to school meeting that you went to, or the kind of social thing where they get together every quarter, whatever it is, how did that go? Was any useful conversations?
It's a monthly meeting. You know, there's a lot of great ideas of what other communities are doing, but until we have that conversation with APS about getting them on board with how we move forward, there's not really a whole lot we can do. Our hands are tied. So we really need a partnership with APS, and we the mayor and I believe have a meeting scheduled in the next week or two with the PTA president.
Okay, that was my next question. Have we initiated that process?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Any other questions on the administrator's report? Well, thank you. Any requests for items on the next administrator's report? Likely none, thank you.
Making it easy on me.
Cornelius Forum is next. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate. To inform the governing body of an issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. There's 6 speakers, is that correct, Mandy?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
First speaker is?
Sam Vigil. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Sam Vigil. I live on 48 North Feliz Perea Road.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak to you again tonight. At a previous council meeting, I formally requested a clear explanation of how Village prioritizes projects, including road maintenance, paving, capital improvements, and other publicly funded initiatives. To date, I have not received any response. I hope that this will serve as a second request. Residents have a right to understand how decisions are made regarding the allocations of taxpayer funds. I am requesting a detailed explanation of the actual process used to determine project priorities, including number 1, specific criteria used for ranking road maintenance and paving projects. 2, how road projects are evaluated and prioritized in comparison. Who develops and recommends the priority list? How funding resources, whether it be local revenue, state funds, grants, or other sources of funding, and how those are prioritized. When and how these priorities are presented publicly. What formal role public it puts to play shipping or alternating these priorities. To be clear, I am not requesting a copy of the project list. I am requesting an explanation of the decision-making framework and procedures that determine which projects move forward and which ones are delayed. Transparency and accountability are fundamental, and fundamental responsibilities of local government. When questions about financial infrastructure, priorities go unanswered, it undermines public confidence. I again respectfully request, with the regional timeframe, some things coming up regarding this matter. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You want to say anything about what we're doing? Okay. Next, Mandy.
Carolyn Behill.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn Nguyen, and I live here in Corrales. I recently submitted an IPRA request seeking records related to how Reclining Acres and Coronado Road was placed on the 2026 legislative funding request. I want to clarify my intent. My IPRA requests were not filed to accuse anyone of wrongdoing. I was trying to learn what steps would be required to move Perea Road forward. When public funds are involved, residents deserve clarity on how decisions are made and how projects move forward. However, what I discovered is deeply concerning. In response to my IPRA request, the village produced over 450 documents, including meeting minutes and related materials. I reviewed them carefully, and with the exception of the 2026 legislative brochure, none of those records reflect when Reclining Acres was added to the ICIP, how was it prioritized, when it was designed, or how the cost was determined. I was further told that records retention had passed and no records from past fiscal years ever existed. In my broader request covering 2018 to present, 8-year timeframe based on which Councilor Knight explained, I was informed that the record system is not tailored to specific projects and that the village is not sure of an exact date when Reclining Acres was added and the retention periods had passed. At the same time, the village submitted over $1 million legislative funding request for Reclining Acres and Coronado Road. So my question is simple. How can the village submit a legislative capital outlay request to the state of New Mexico with a specific dollar amount, yet have no documentation showing when the project was added, how it was prioritized, or how that cost estimate was calculated? And I want to point to 2 documents that I located from the state's DFA ICIP dashboard for Corrales. The Reclining Acres repave entry list $520,000 and states, this project has already been designed and is shovel ready. The Coronado repave and flood mitigation entry list over $473,000 and states, design has been completed, so this project is shovel ready. If the projects were designed and shovel ready, then designs, estimates, and the decision path should exist somewhere as public records. That's why the IPRA response stating no responsive record exists is so concerning. So tonight, I'm asking for one clear thing. What is the written step-by-step process Corrales uses to go from idea to study, to design, to cost estimate, to ICIP ranking, to DFA submission, and where can residents review that record for each project? And will this council commit that the same documented process will be used to move Perea Road forward? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Raul Behill.
Good evening. My name is Raul Vigil. I live off Feliz Perea Road. I have more of like a message to everybody, really. There's a little bit of frustration. You've seen me in here before. So I'm gonna go back in 1964. The United States Supreme Court issued one of the most important rulings protecting citizens and democracy. And our attorney can vouch for this. New York Times versus Sullivan's. In that decision, the court declared that debate on public issues must be, and I quote, uninhibited, robust, and wide open. The court went on to further stating that debate may be or may include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. That language was not accidental. It was deliberate. The Supreme Court understood that government is not meant to be shielded from scrutiny. Public service comes with accountability. It comes with questions. It comes with disagreements. And sometimes it comes with uncomfortable conversations. Criticism is not accusation. Questions are not hostility. Requesting transparency is not disruption. The court made it clear that fear of backlash, fear of being labeled, fear of being misunderstood cannot be allowed to silence citizens. Democracy requires breathing space. It requires the ability of residents to stand here and ask how decisions are made, how priorities are set, how funds are allocated, whether this process is consistent and transparent. This chamber is not merely a procedural format. It is a public square. It's where people engage with their government, and public discourse must remain uninhibited, robust, wide open, especially here. I also want to say this directly to the other residents, and especially those that are on Zoom. Do not be afraid to stand up and voice your concern about transparency, process, or priorities. You're not alone. There are more people in this community who support open government and accountability than you may realize. Healthy communities are built when residents participate, not when they stay silent. Silence does not build trust. Transparency builds trust. This is not about personalities. This is not about confrontation. It's about principle. It's about preserving public confidence in how decisions are made. The Supreme Court affirmed more than 60 years ago that open criticism of government is not a threat to democracy. It's the cornerstone of it. The principle applies just as much now as it did when the decision was made. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Johnny Martinez.
Johnny Martinez, I live on Rafael Court. Just like the gentleman before me said, I want to thank you folks for being where you're at and receiving us in the conversations. They're not always pleasant, but they're necessary. And I want to thank Zach, particularly for acknowledging that you're under heightened scrutiny when you're in the position that you're in. So I appreciate you for acknowledging that. I was a contract officer representative, and so I can tell you perception carries a lot. Once again, the words of the day are transparency and accountability. I did not talk with Mr. Vigil about this. The last administration grossly overspent on an temporary animal control or shelter, whatever you want to call it. $100,000 was spent bringing power to Anderson Field with no apparent site plan. And as Councilor Burkett cited, $150,000 on the interior drain study that accomplished nothing. Now I'm hearing that $500,000 may be spent on repaving and reclaiming acres. Now, I chaired a committee that held very public and inclusive discussions regarding the Arts and Cultural Education Facility. The majority of our commission concluded that the village would be better served by building something smaller, spaces that could accommodate the arts, classrooms, and possibly movable partitions that would open up for performances and such. As the chair of that committee, I would like to see those findings come to fruition. The monies wasted on past projects, along with projected funds, Reclaim Acres project, are examples of what could be used to build a community center for our community, recommended after much public input. We do not need to revive the ACD narrative. The majority of the villagers are still opposed to it. If we're wise with our spending, we'll have plenty of local funds to support the community needs, to include the arts. And while I don't enjoy being confrontational, I've learned that sometimes I need to speak publicly because my offline conversations have been taken out of context. That means addressing the elephant in the room when necessary. Some time ago, I spoke about the importance of advocating for the elderly who live on Corrales Road. In response, Councilor Knight stated in this very chamber, and many of you heard it, that it was naive for residents on Corrales Road to think that changes wouldn't affect their residential way of life. This comment was insultive and dismissive to the Corraleños to many Corraleños that live on these properties and have lived there for generations, to include my father, the Mazes, and the Glovers. Many of you know these folks. Yet she argues that people in the lower Corrales don't understand what it's like to live on the road that washes out in the sandhills. Perhaps those Coraleños weren't so naive after all. Perhaps it was naive to believe that one could build on sandhills and not face those challenges. As the saying goes, the shoe's on the other foot. Please be considerate of your constituents. Don't insult it. Now, I've driven up Reclaiming Acres numerous times and I don't see potholes or a deteriorating road. So I pose the question, is the idea to change the natural water flows? If so, where's engineering making that legal? And what is the scope of that work? I'm not opposed to the project. I just think that when you're spending $500,000, there should be some publicly released information and dialogue to justify the spending. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Tyler Muxworthy. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes. Mayor, Council, my name is Tyler Muxworthy and I live at 202 Pereira Road. As mentioned previously, in 2011, the Village of Corrales went to the court and under oath lied about Pereira Road being a public road. For more than 5 years now, I have worked tirelessly to improve Pereira Road. Since Corrales was not taking ownership of the road, the residents of Pereira Road were left to do the work ourselves. I bought a tractor and I would repair the road as best I could every time it deteriorated. Eventually, I requested that other owners pitch in money towards gravel so that we could keep the road better maintained and for longer periods of time. It was at this point that Corrales stepped in again to keep us from improving our own road. They decided to acquire the land of current homeowners to officially make Pereira Road a public road in December of 2024. Now, that fate of our road has been taken away from us again, and I'm here to respectfully request that Pereira Road be paved and maintained by the Village of Corrales. In doing so, the village needs to address many concerns that include speeding, proper road signs, drainage issues, dust control, and congestion due to existing businesses and new businesses currently under construction. In the last 5 years, 10 roads in Corrales have been paved. Most of these roads were already paved, and yet they got repaved again. This is before Pereira Road was even considered to get paved for the first time. All requests to have a road paved have been approved and 0 have been denied. One of the roads that received a major overhaul and complete repaving includes West Meadowlark Lane. This road is more than 6 times the length of Pereira Road. While they still need to honor the site plan and finish the project with gravel or crusher fines on the remaining exposed dirt, they have $200,000 left over from that project. I understand that some of that money is earmarked for a crosswalk at Loma Larga. This crosswalk is not part of the original plan. It is not required to be installed, and that money can and should be utilized to pave Pereira Road. I've been in communication with companies to obtain quotes to pave our road and have determined that it can be done for less than $200,000. I have a signed petition from residents on Pereira Road. This petition has been submitted to the Village of Corrales, and residents are aligned in getting the road paved. I'm asking you to please let me know what else is needed to align the Village of Corrales with the desires of its residents. Please approve the extra $200,000 left over from the Meadowlark project to be used on moving the Pereira Road paving project forward. Lastly, I've drawn up a suggestion I would like for you, the Village of Corrales, to present to Tasuke Stucco. I believe it will improve the congestion that they impose on our road, and I request that the village ask them to consider a better way of managing their trucks, trailers, and if they do so, we might see some relief on the road due to their vehicles. May I please approach the bench and hand out those suggestions?
Thank you. Next, Mandy. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Tyler. Nice school. I'll pass it down.
Bill Perkins.
Thanks, Mindy. Thank you, Mayor and Administrator and Councilors.
Can you please state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Bill Perkins and I live at 5768 Corrales Road.
Thank you.
I wanted to speak about the idea of a municipal parking lot at Gonzalez Field. It's been talked about and I'd like to think out loud about that idea. Such a thing could be used by those visiting La Entrada Park, or those visiting the Corrales Community Library, or those using the meeting rooms at the building that used to be our bank, or even those wanting to stop and use the proposed new bathrooms. Or it could be used by people seeking to patronize businesses in the neighborhood commercial district. People could park at the municipal lot, walk up and down Corrales Road, and visit and engage businesses along the road. Not only the Sandia Bar, which is the first retail business to the north, but other shops, restaurants, galleries, etc., throughout the district. However, this would require that the pedestrian access along Corrales Road would be made safe. To accomplish this, the pedestrian routes along Corrales Road would need to meet established standards for safety, including street crossings, paving systems, utility upgrades, adjustments, lighting, and other measures. And to achieve safe pedestrian access along Corrales Road, there must be accessibility for all citizens and for each and all businesses along the road, not only because our laws require it, but because it would be the right thing to do. While I believe that there are truly good arguments for strengthening the walkability of our village to achieve a fully safe and accessible walkable district, we may irrevocably diminish the simple charm of our farm road winding through this small village by the river. Please consider carefully the full consequences of establishing a municipal parking lot. Please consider the full financial costs of such a transformation and identify who should cover those costs. Through comments heard right here in this room, I've learned that some of our neighbors have strong views about the village assuming ownership of Corrales Road. But it strikes me that the New Mexico State Department of Transportation is not the right agency to lead such an effort to carefully balance walkability objectives with protecting historic character and rural charm. But I also believe once the business community comes to see a well-designed municipal parking lot as an integral part of the district, they will see the Anyway, I think we need a professional planner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others, Mandy?
No, sir.
No. The next item is the councilors forum. This is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate, to inform the governing body of issue or concern that would not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Any councilors want to speak? Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So to follow up on, I think it was Mr. Tyler Muxworthy's comments, it's my understanding that the money on Metal Arc is fixed and cannot be moved. Is that correct?
Yeah, the money was a is that MAP funding, Steve? Yeah, it was money that was a grant, and whatever project you write into that grant application is what the money has to be spent on. If you don't spend it on that road, it goes back to the granting agency. So unfortunately, we cannot move money from one project to another like that. If it was village money, we could do that, but because it's a grant that is given to us by another entity, we don't have any control over being able to move it to another project.
Okay, thank you. So also, so the other night on Channel 4, they have this program called Pay It Forward. Well, apparently they recognized one of our teachers here at Corrales Elementary. I think her name is Cammie Mueller, and she teaches the archery class at Corrales Elementary. And I just want to have a shout out for her because, well, it was interesting too, because you see all these kids with bows and arrows and they're shooting them in the gym in X place. But anyway, it's a job well done. I think she deserved to be recognized for that.
We put a link to that in the mayor's message a couple of weeks ago too.
But also the MTB, the Metropolitan Transportation Board, met last week, and we approved 3 resolutions. You can go out to the Mr. Cog website and find the Metropolitan Transportation Board and go to the calendar. and find the agenda and take a look at the information that was passed. It's quite lengthy, and I won't bore you with it. So anyway, also the Water Resource Board meets March 4th. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's both Zoom and in person down at the Mr. Cog facility. So people are welcome to log in, and you can go to the Mr. Cog website and find out when that meeting and the Zoom link as well. So anyway, thank you.
Counselor Knight.
Thank you. The Rio Metro Board that I'm on did not meet in February. They canceled their meeting. So we'll be meeting again in March.
Counselor Waldman.
Mayor, it's a bit out of order, but I was wondering if our fire chief could explain what the money, how the money is going to be used in the bypass that we received on Friday at 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's actually going to be a public works project. So it's going to be the bypass for the step system.
And where will that be? Has it been designed?
It hasn't been designed yet. That's so the $2 million grant that you guys approved a few months ago from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund is paying for Stantec to do the second half of the project, which is the designing of the bypass. So when we did the RFP, I think almost 3 years ago now, we wrote it in such a way that they would do the preliminary engineering report and then move into a design for us for phase one, which is the bypass. So right now, the route that we had proposed was to take it from Corrales Road down Old Church to Loma Larga, then Loma Larga to Cabazon Road, back to Corrales Road. So if there right now, if there is an issue with the step system, our guys are standing in dirty water. We don't have a way to redirect that water around anything. And so this would give us a route for that water to flow. And then eventually, if it's needed, connect to other homes. But right now, this is just designing the bypass.
Good. Thanks very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Counselor.
Point, Mayor, is that going to be a flow system that's going to flow naturally, or is it going to have to be pumped?
I think it's going to depend on the design. I know there were a couple areas mentioned in the preliminary engineering report that there might need to be lift stations in some areas, but until we see the final design from Stantec, we won't know for sure.
Counselor Burkett.
Thank you, Mayor. So I would like to see if it's possible, and I know it's kind of a convoluted process, us document what the ICIP process looks like. The ICIP one is, at least the middle 90% of it is actually the most straightforward of all the processes because it's all voted on. So if you guys look at the meetings from June 24th of 2025, resolution 2521 has all of the items that are on the ICIP. There is a link sent to all of the counselors to vote on those items. It shows how each one of us independently ranked them. So you can see how each one of us ranked them. We all have the prerogative to ask the administration to add additional items. So far, what I've seen in my 6 years on the council, things don't often fall off the ICIP list until they're accomplished. So things stay on there kind of indefinitely, but every year they get re-ranked by all the counselors and then voted on in public before we give our recommendations to the administration. Some years the administration takes a little creative license with our recommendations. Some years they just go straight as we ranked them. And then the tricky part gets to when it does get to our state representatives who are back in the room now and who greatly represented us this year. They give us the money for what they have the money for and what they also prioritize. So we can recommend 5 or 6 things and they could pick items 4, 5, and 6 instead of 1, 2, and 3 if it aligns with how much money they have available and their priorities. So that's the part where we lose control over it, but our ranking is all done very, very publicly. And if you guys want to email me, I mean, I'm happy to get on the phone with you and talk through my interpretation of it. It would be good, though, to probably have just a documented flow chart of what the process looks like.
Yeah. And Mayor, if I may explain the Ms. Wynn's comments. So the IPRA does not require us to create a document that does not exist. So when we say the documents do not exist, it's because we don't have a document that says exactly that. So we don't have it written down anywhere what the process is. We have, just internal, it needs to go on this agenda. Council talks about it. And that's why we gave Ms. Wynn so many agendas and meeting minutes, because we don't have our system only can search the name of the document. We can't search inside the document for a keyword. So we have no way of knowing what of those documents over this time period that she requested, which one of those mention reclining acres. So AI could do that, yes. But so we aren't required to answer questions. So that makes it hard when they're asking us, what is your procedure? We don't have a document that explains that. So we don't have to answer that question because that opens up a whole other can of worms with public record. So if we don't physically have a document that says, this is how this is done. And a lot of times these decisions are made in meetings, sometimes in meetings that we don't take minutes for, so we don't have a document that says, the mayor came in and directed the clerk to put these items on the list for capital outlay.
Thank you. So only Reclining Acres was on that request, not Coronado Road?
I believe there was another request that came in after the initial request that she asked for some documents for Coronado Road.
Roads that are up to get engineered and redone.
Yeah. And there's still some documents we're compiling for 2 of the requests that came in. So we're not done with those IPRA requests. But yeah, I mean, IPRA is it can be tough on the clerk searching the document because, if it's not labeled exactly that, and if the clerk wasn't here when that was done, we don't know. And you can't produce a document from somebody's memory. So we could ask somebody that had been here a long time, hey, do you remember when Reclining Acres was added to the list? And then, we can go through the agendas and the minutes and see if we can find it. But I do encourage the community to come out to our budget meeting, which will be April 21st at 1:00, or watch it on Zoom. That is where a lot of these discussions take place, is in our budget workshops. Every single department head appears before the council and they make their requests. And that's where those happen. And I do believe those documents were released to you as part of the minutes.
Right. One other comment. So to the best of my recollection, in 6 years, I have never got a single constituent email telling me how they would like to see ICIP, or that there's something on there that they don't like to see, or there's something they would like to see higher on the list. I would love to get those emails. I'm sure the other counselors would love to get those emails. Since the last meeting, 2 weeks ago, or is it 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, I've gotten 2 emails from constituents that were related to things happening within the village. I understand people are very interested in that. I'm usually one of 6 votes on all of these things, and I've gotten 2 emails in 2 weeks from people talking about specific issues. So email us early, email us often. I really read them all. I try to reply to all of them. I take all of it to heart. Anyone who takes the time to send an email, oftentimes I'll call them back to talk more about it. We frequently hear here at Coraleños Forum about lack of transparency, lack of public input, and we have all of these mechanisms for public input, and nobody uses them other than their 3 minutes right here to say that they didn't have any public input. And I felt the same way 6 years ago, and that's why I ran for office, and I'm sitting up here now and wondering why nobody's emailing me. So please do.
Councilor Miera.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, first of all, we may run out of time, we may not, but I want to congratulate Representative Cates that sat in your seat for many years. And so thank you very much. But that being said, now I got a question for you, if I may. With regards to the ICIP, like I said, I sat in that in your chair there for 26 years. So from that perspective, we went through a lot of changes. Were we shovel ready? Were we not? Were we only accept shovel ready? Then we send it back over to the agencies, city, county, whatever that might be. Are you shovel ready? Going back and forth. I think my question now, because been gone for a few years, the hard work that you did put in, is that shovel ready issue still an issue with regards to you being able to submit it and or submitting, but not necessarily receiving the request that you put in?
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and counselors. Shovel ready is essential in being able for us to fund. I just, it's a humble brag on my list, my capital project list. The projects are funded and they're spent, and you guys do an excellent job since I've been representative, making sure that they're spent but there are, with a B, billions of dollars of capital outlay of projects that were not spent. And so they are required to be shovel ready, and understand that Chairman Lente has started the process to create a fund to claw back funds if they are not spent within 5 or 6 years, and put them in a pot of money to use for planning and zoning. So they are a big priority. Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Representative. But with that point, with regards to what we're submitting and going to be submitting, because I think we're going to be looking at this issue here in the next, a short time period, next month or so, with regards to shovel ready. What do we have and I asked this question when I sat in the same seat that Representative Kate said, and that is, can you define shovel ready that it affects us and it doesn't necessarily not affect Bernalillo or Santa Fe, because, well, we're shovel ready. We got a shovel. We're ready to go. And that's not necessarily the same as what it is that we have to submit, so we don't put her behind the 8 ball with regards to shovel ready. What do we need to do? Have some people go out there with some lines, whatever that may be. It's an open-ended question, but if you could, Mr. Mayor, you might be able to help us.
Yeah, so the Mandy and I are actually going to attend ICIP training tomorrow. And in those meetings, they give the clerks around the state very clear direction of what should be on an ICIP list. It should not be a wish list. It should be items that you plan on completing in the next 5 years, because the ICIP runs for a 5-year period. So shovel ready for a road would mean it has a design. You are ready to go out for bid for construction. Shovel ready for a building would be you have a design. It is ready to go out for bid for construction. So that's where we want our projects to be. And this may not be the appropriate place to mention this, but we have some ideas that we would like to bring before the council in terms of dealing with our ICIP list and making sure that those projects are just the shovel ready projects. While still maintaining a list of projects for other types of grants where it asks, is this on your capital improvements list somewhere? But yeah, we have some ideas. We've had some internal discussion. I proposed a couple of them to our think tank of department heads, and we're all putting our heads together, and we'll be bringing those ideas before the council, but they're not quite ready yet.
Thank you very much. I had a smaller question, but I know you, Representative, you want to say something.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Administrator Romero and Counselor. Melanie is absolutely right. Shovel ready is you have the plan, you have the design, you have engineering. You also tell us where your other sources of funding are and that you've secured them or you have them in the pipeline. And I will tell you that there are municipalities in my district that I did not fund very well this year because they did not communicate this shovel ready, even though I asked them many times. Not the village. The village has done an excellent job in being able to do that. Now, I don't ask to see the engineering drawings from because the village has given me no reason to doubt when they tell me that it's ready. But all those documents should be completed and ready for review. Engineering drawings, sources of funding, and that make them shovel ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And so that little part that I said I had left, when that is, asking Steve, but actually going through you, is Steve able to put together enough of that, what we need? Because what we're talking about now are roads. And so that is the decision being made exactly. We're not going to hire somebody to come out and do a road kind of situation. It's our decision. But can Steve do that last part of the request to make sure that it's going to be adequate enough to be funded in the state, or we can in a short period of time we can be utilizing our own 10, 25, 35% of our own monies for some of these roads that people have been asking for.
One of the requests I was going to make in our upcoming budget session is that we start putting aside some money in a project fund for this type of thing, because it's not that we're not planning. We have great ideas. We have amazing department heads that know where they want to go, but they don't always have the money to get the design to be able to get to that next step, which is let's get this under construction. So, perhaps we could use some of the money from the the sweep that we're getting from the Stagecoach sweep. There's definitely some conversations that need to be had, and we'll probably have that as a discussion item in an upcoming meeting when we have a little more detail and some better information for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Mandy.
Counselor Alsobrook wants to speak.
Councilor Alsobrook, you're up.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. This question is for the administrator or the clerk regarding our requirements for or practices for posting resolutions on our website. So the resolution 2521 that we've referred to here in this discussion was the ICIP that was approved June 24th, 2025. The resolution section is therefore be it resolved, section 1, that the village adopts the attached fiscal year 2027 to 2031 infrastructure capital improvements plan. What we have on the website is simply this one-page resolution. There is no attachment that shows the ICIP list. So I'm just wondering what
We can fix that.
requirement or practice is.
Yeah, we usually try and put the attachments. That was probably an oversight on my part because I was clerk when that happened, but we'll get that fixed tomorrow. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other discussion from the council? Thank you. The next item is the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Councilor Burkett. A second?
Second.
By Councilor Knight. Discussion? Councilor Murray.
Oh, wait, if you want to discuss something, you have to pull it off. You have to make a motion to pull it off.
No, I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to make the comment that I had submitted questions in writing. There were responses, and that I think that we ought to attach that to the minutes for the meeting when we approve them next time. So it's at least a public record.
We can do that.
Any more discussion on approving the consent agenda?
Oh. Nope.
All in? Roll call vote. Councilor Miera?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Knight?
Aye.
Councilor Burkett?
Aye.
Councilor Murray?
Aye.
Councilor Alsobrook?
Aye.
Bet you Councilor Waldman will give us a thumbs up through the window. Hey,
You paying a
he's out there socializing.
parking ticket?
I know. Hey. Consent agenda? You're good?
We got a thumbs up.
All right.
It's the same thing, right?
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
I'm a little worried about that last item because Councilor Waldman's not visible on any recorded camera. I'm not too clear on his vote for that. I mean, I'm not there, so I can't see, and that's kind of what's getting me to mention it.
As
Councilor, can you reaffirm your vote for the consent agenda?
Second.
We need an aye.
Try to live till you can do that. Reaffirm your vote. Aye.
Vote reaffirmed. Thank you.
Sorry.
Next item is old business. Consideration, action, and approval of Viva Vino event application. Is somebody here?
he's online,
Oh,
Mr. Pino.
Stephen Pino? Do you want to explain anything, Mr. Pino, about,
We should probably make a motion to approve and then we can go
Okay.
into
so
questions.
we have a motion then to approve, consideration, approval, action and approval of the Viva Vino event.
So moved.
So move.
For discussion purposes.
Okay, so, motion by Councilor Rollman, second by Councilor,
And
Mayor.
since Mr. Pino wasn't here at the last meeting, maybe we should reiterate what our questions were to him so he can answer those.
okay, maybe I can, there were some discussion, Mr. Pino, about, two residential roads used for, the race, and maybe cones set up to make those roads safe. Question was, did the residents know about this event and where they should drive their cars around their cones or on which side of the cones. And also a question was about barricades being placed correctly. Could you please clarify those?
So there's a traffic control company that puts our cones out, and they put them out about 3 to 4 feet onto the road to allow other traffic to go through. The roads that we're on for a short bit because most of the run is on the ditch embankments. And so as the runners go and walkers follow, those cones would be picked up from the roadways. So there's no closures of any roads.
Correct. But do the runners know what side of the cones they run? Are the cones on the
Yes.
shoulder? Are the cones in the
Yes.
middle of the road?
No, they're 3 or 4 feet off to this from the dirt of the roadway. And so the runners run within those cones as soon as they're able to, in terms of the number of people going on, for example, La Entrada. So by the time they get to the ditch bank, that'll then head south to Coronado Road. That's where they'll be. So the maximum time on La Entrada would probably be no more than 5 minutes before the last walker is onto the ditch bank.
Yeah, my recollection was it was along most of the way on West La Entrada, which is quite a distance, and along most of the way of Coronado or the other road, and which is quite a distance. And so do the runners or walkers, do they stay on the right of way or do they go on the road itself?
They're on the road within the cones to allow the other traffic to go through.
So the cones are in the middle of the road?
No, they're 3 or 4 feet off from the side of the road.
Okay, so the runners or walkers are on the 3 to 4 feet just away from the easement on the road, and so they can run 3 to 4 feet on the road and
Right.
on the easement. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
And do residents along those two roads know what's happening? So all of a sudden they see cones, and do they know that there are runners or walkers that are going to be using their roads?
There are special event signs throughout the course that are put up from the barricade company, along with signage that we put up on the morning of, informing anyone what is happening and letting them know that runners are on the road.
So are those signs put up along those two roads that are used? I mean, because
Yes. Yes.
No, so the signs are put up saying your road is used for a race. Cones identify where the races are going to be. Please be careful. Is that what the process is?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's volunteers along the course as well.
Yeah, they were just concerned that they were running quite a bit of distance on those two roads, and that even though you have insurance and hopefully no accident has happened, that you certainly go on the distance, making sure that residents know and that participants know exactly what they have to do to avoid any untoward accidents.
So what I would typically do in other areas of the state is I would send out information to the neighborhoods about what is happening in those neighborhoods. I mean, if there was an opportunity to do that within your village, I'd be happy to send that information out to alert everyone about what is happening on that day. It is a 5K run or walk. So starts at 9 o'clock. The last walker would probably be through the finish by 10 o'clock. So it's about an hour duration where people, runners, walkers are on the road or ditch banks.
Councilor Alsobrook, you had a question?
Thank you, Mayor. It starts at 9, it goes until the last walker finishes. Could be 10. Of course, if that was me, it'd be later. It could be 10:30. So I understand it's not an exact time. How promptly will the cones be removed from the road once the participants are finished?
Sure. As I stated a little bit earlier, is that the last walker, as they get up onto the ditch bank, the traffic control company will be picking up those cones as they follow the last group of walkers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Miera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Pino. I think one of the concerns we had that last time we brought this issue up is that whether you had gotten the approval from MRG, CDC, and MODOT. Did you get those permission slips to the Corrales since we last met? Because that was one of the concerns we had.
During the committee meeting with the Parks and Rec Department, I believe it was, that I attended. So how it typically works is that, for example, the New Mexico Department of Transportation, is I submitted that information back in December, and maybe back in December, and it takes them a little more time to get to it, to gain the approval, because of what things can transpire over that course of time. So they don't usually approve it right away. They usually approve it within a 2 to 3 week period. So once that's done, as I told the committee, I would send that approval to the village.
And it's been done?
We haven't gotten it yet because they haven't approved it yet. So, but yeah, they did state in their application that they have made those requests and that they will provide that to us. So that can be a condition of the approval. You can say this is approved condition with the condition that we get these other approvals.
Thank you.
You want to make that a condition of approval then?
I think at this point in time, we've been waiting, and he's been upfront about trying to do that. That would certainly help as a condition. If they not, then they can't, but they probably should by that time.
All right, Councilor Miera moves that the condition of approval is the reception of the correct approvals from department heads. Any second for that?
I'll second it.
Councilor Murray? Any discussion? Is that a resolution? No.
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
So yeah, so that was a vote on the amendment.
Right, that's the one of the amendment. We still have discussion on the main motion. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Pino, the drawing that I'm looking at shows the cones on West Ella being on the north side. I mean, maybe that's just a fluke of the drawing, but I seem to remember that there are landscaping that is intruding into the right of way. I just wondered if are the runners or walkers going to be on the south side of West Ella versus the north side?
So they are on the north side of West Ella Drive.
So they only have to intrude into the roadway in a little bit just to avoid those landscaping things that are on the right of way.
Well, unless those whatever's intruding is intruding on the actual road, then yes. But if they're off on the dirt or the non-paved area, then it wouldn't be a problem for the runners.
Well, that's just what I remember. Is it seemed like the landscaping was on the north side for a particular house. Just was it might just impair anybody trying to run on the ditch bank. I mean, at all. I mean, on the right of way. So, but if you're using the roadway, then so be it.
Yeah.
I had another question. Just curious. How did the name Viva Vino come about for a school event?
A school event?
Not school.
Is that a school
It's
event?
not a school event.
Okay. Okay. We try. Well, how did the event become named Viva Vino?
So we finish at Casa Vieja Brewery, and because they serve wine, they finish at the winery. There's no wine or alcohol taken off the premises, but it was just a name that I came up with.
Okay. Any other Councilor Miera?
Unless any other questions coming up, and move it to pass as amended.
Okay. Any second on that?
We already have a motion and a second.
Yeah, we already
We have motion. We already have a motion and a second, I think.
But not as amended.
Oh,
Okay.
whoa, okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
We already
Just-
motioned and approved the amendment, though. I thought we were good.
Right. So
Aye.
second by Councilor Burkett. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pino.
Thank you.
New business. Number one, consideration, action, and approval of ordinance 26-01, an ordinance providing for the amendment of the village code zone map to change the existing A1 and A2 zone boundary between map 21 tract 11A and map 18 tract 145B. May I have a motion on that, please?
Can I ask a quick question? This was already reviewed last time, right? Okay,
The post, yeah.
right, okay.
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
Okay, motion by Councilor Burkett, second by Councilor Knight. Any discussion on this? Councilor Murray?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that after several discussions with Lori, and it becomes clear to me what this is about for our boundary. But I do want to iterate that the second drawing be reviewed for accuracy, because the hypotenuse of the top parcel is greater than the halfways of the first drawing. The first drawing shows 309.77 feet. And then on the second drawing, the hypotenuse says 155 point X number of feet. And those two figures are in conflict. So just as long as when this goes to plat, that is reviewed and make sure that those properties are designed or said to be equal in acreage and in dimensions, because right now it won't do it.
Right, and I think PZA Stausser answered that and said that it will be reviewed at the time of plating. And yeah, I think to me it wasn't quite, the triangles weren't quite equal either, and hypotenuses were a little different, but that's just, I guess, more schematic and it doesn't have to be exact at this time. That's my impression.
well, that's how they exist on the current plat too. So, but yeah, everything will be reviewed, and as
The second,
Administrator Stout
the
said,
second drawing is the one that gets in question, but that's, when it goes to plat, then
yes,
let's make sure that all those dimensions are in agreement with the first drawing, which is the.
yes, and all of those are reviewed by the village engineer. So,
Good.
yeah.
How many people do you think had hypotenuse on their village council bingo card? Probably not very many.
Bad flashbacks to high school math class.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It always has to be a roll call vote.
Roll call vote again. Roll call. Councilor Miera.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Waldman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight. Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item. Consideration, action, and approval of resolution 26-10, records destruction request. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Councilor Roman, second by Councilor Mira. Any discussion? Councilor Burkett.
I have two questions. One is, we have voted on and approved a specific destruction policy. So do we still have to vote on each individual document that we destruct?
Yes, you do, Counselor.
And next question is, why are we destructing anything when we can save a digital copy for 0 space? So why do we not just put these all on the fancy little computers we have over in the village office and not ever have this issue come up again?
So I will give you the answer that I got from the Clerks Institute and their attorney. So if you possess a document, you have to present it for IPRA. So the more documents you have, the longer it takes you to search through said document to find the documents people need, which is why you have a records destruction list, because things that are absolutely necessary for the village, you do not destroy. But things like, you know, a counselor's notes from a meeting, those are, I believe the records retention period says until no longer needed. So, but if we have those and somebody says, I want the notes from Counselor Burkett in the meeting that was held May 25th, 2022, we have to provide that document. And then we have to go searching through all of our records for those things. So it's kind of a catch-22, because yes, we could theoretically keep everything, but it becomes a records management issue when it comes to IPRA, because if we have it, we must produce it.
Okay. And I can see back when this was all paper, that being super critical. But now,
Well, and we run into the issue like we ran into with Miss Wynn's request. You know, she's asking for something very specific, and we do not have a tool that can search through that for us to find that document. So, you know, you know, we felt bad releasing that many documents, but we don't have a way to search for that for her. And so in my mind, it's better to release too much than not enough. But it becomes a tricky situation, because we don't want to be non-transparent. We do not want to be withholding documents, but yeah, that's the main reason.
Okay. And I think we do have a tool for that now. I mean, I think if we digitize all these, I mean, we can very easily search keywords in documents at this point in time. I mean, that is.
And also, as Tanya just pointed out, it's costing us $216,000 to digitize our records. So, right. Yeah. And you still have to have some sort of a database to search through those documents.
So then when we do digitize all our records and we say, and we vote on destruction of a record, does that mean we are destructing the hard copy and we are also going in and erasing the file?
Yes. Yes, there were several documents from planning and zoning that were on the list originally because they had scanned them in. And I said, you don't need council approval to destroy a hard copy if you've digitized it. So we were able to take off a whole bunch of records from this request because those don't need council approval. We still technically have the document because we've digitized it. So, you know, and you know, do we really need somebody's business license application from 2002? You know, so the things that we're getting rid of are things like that. We're not destroying any, you know, record of the village, things like minutes, resolutions, ordinances, all of those are permanent records.
Councilor Alsobrook would like to comment.
Councilor Alsobrook.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on Councilor Burkett's comment, if I might. So we're well into the 21st century here. The information age started somewhere back in the 90s, I think, is when it got thrown around, maybe even the 80s. I don't know if someone might want a particular business license application or not. I can't. I don't think it's my role to decide that they don't. No one will, and I should destroy it. I think we should work towards preserving all our material electronically. And yes, it costs money, but we have a pretty good municipal budget. We're not scrapping for dollars. And this might be something that may have other sources of funding, whether state or federal. So I think I'm seconding Councilor Burkett's or I'm echoing his comments that this is something we should pursue. In this day and age, it's true we have retention limits that are required by statute, and those were promulgated in the day of paper. I suffered through the same things in my professional life, having to retain clinical laboratory documents. And for us, it's worse because I have a national patient base. And so I have to satisfy New York's requirements and California's requirements. And at any rate, don't let me go on like this. I just think we should move to, when I say move, I don't mean like make a motion. I mean, we should move toward being able to retain all of our documentation electronically, and paper be damned. They can burn it if they want. We don't need it.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
I think Ken wants to say something, and I'll wait until after he finishes.
Thank you, Councilor Murray, Mr. Mayor. And it's just a question for the village administrator. When you say digitized, are they OCR'd? Are they, when you scan a copy of a document, it's a picture of that document. It doesn't tell you the words that are in the document. It is a picture of the document.
Correct.
So
it is not a searchable document.
And so when somebody asks for all of the minutes, for all of the meetings discussing the ditch, wherever we are, going back the last 40 years, you basically got to go through all the minutes of all of those meetings going back 40 years manually to look for those words. So when you say digitized, it doesn't mean that they're retrievable by word. It means you have a picture of the document. And it's not going to be a lot less time consuming than it would
If it's not a searchable document, even AI can't find it because it still has to turn it into a searchable document. So you would have to upload it into a program that can turn it into a searchable document, and then AI can search for it. So it's a multi-step process.
So I guess, how do we pursue that, doing both of the steps then, so they do become searchable documents?
We throw money at it, Councilor.
That's how we fix everything.
Mr. Mayor and Councilor, I've been through hundreds, probably thousands of pages of Rio Rancho minutes when I worked for them. They are OCR'd very poorly. They're sent through a program and it's hit or miss. You can go through a few thousand pages, and of those few thousand pages, maybe 100 will have the term you're looking for, but because of the manner in which they were OCR'd, optical character recognition, the way they were OCR'd, you may miss 90 of them and get 10 documents out of the 100 that you are actually looking for. So it just want to.
And you can get penalized for not producing documents that the OCR did not pick up.
Correct. That's correct, Mayor.
Yep.
Which is a biggie.
Yep. So then, we're looking at, spending money on digitizing the documents, maybe poorly. And then we still have to pay IPRA fines for not producing documents because we can't find them.
Just a related question. What would keep us from just having 100% open database of all of our documents and telling people, go find it?
You can't do that. IPRA doesn't allow that.
I mean, here's all of our information.
Yeah.
Use whatever.
I can't even tell somebody that the resolution they're looking for is on our website. I physically have to produce it for them, or now Mandy does. But the village physically has to produce the document if it is IPRA. You cannot say this document lives here. That's not what IPRA does.
Interesting.
Yes. Which is why we need some changes to IPRA, which I know our representative Cates had presented a bill last year. And so, yeah, there's definitely some challenges, but we want to make sure that we are being as open as possible. I mean, right now our village website has over 3,700 pages. 95% of those nobody ever visits. So we have information available, but I can't tell somebody when they've submitted a IPRA request, go look on our website. Because even our website doesn't tell you, a couple of years ago, somebody said, I want information on the 4th of July parade. And I was like, well, it's on the website. I can't find it. So I went to the website, I typed in 4th of July. It didn't come up, even though it was on the calendar. So even our own website doesn't have the search engine doesn't work. So I think it's a good goal to work towards for sure, but I don't think our technology exists at this point in a manner where we can really do that very well.
We can find celebrity names in 3 million documents of Epstein files in seconds. So I don't know how we can't find this.
Yeah. No, we need to get some of those computer nerds on it for us. And,
Councilman
yeah.
There is lousy OCR and there is good OCR and then there's excellent OCR.
Yes,
And
well, that was
I
my
would imagine those young fellows who came and gave us a nice presentation on using AI for our database may have an answer.
Yeah. They've actually moved into they've abandoned the document AI search and moved to using AI to help redact the video.
Well, that was my comment too, that Ken was that OCR in the document is not that hard. There are programs that will automatically do that for you. And yes, you do take a risk that it can be done poorly. And then with artificial intelligence coming along that Councilor Alsobrook has mentioned, that could be a good project for the village. It may be that it's coming along. It's still not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. And there are no guardrails, and therein lies the problem. But AI might be part of the solution.
Yeah, I agree, but sometimes you don't want to be the first person to take on a software.
You don't want to fall on the sword.
No thanks.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor and Council Murray. You can spend $400 million on a OCR software package, but when you try to OCR something like the application that Main Street submitted for their event that was considered the last meeting, you'd be lucky if you get one word on each page. If you recall, it was such a poor copy.
I disagree because I have used Adobe Photoshop for one, and it does a pretty good job of OCR. But anyway, that's a discussion that we can have at a work study in future.
Yeah, I agree. Councilor Waldman?
I was going to bring this up under new business, but I think maybe it's appropriate at this point. I met with a gentleman by the name of Richard Draper, who I've known for several years. He and a colleague, a UNM professor, Rod Sanchez, who's a resident of Corrales, worked together at Intel for several years. They are now working in the area of artificial intelligence through funding from the not-for-profit Center for Hands-on Learning in Rio Rancho. They currently have an MOU with the Rio Rancho Public Schools and have offered at no cost to the village to evaluate whether there may be AI applications that we can use and how it might work. And they'd like to provide a brief overview on the 24th of March. It could be for water planning. It could be for traffic on Corrales Road. It could be for budgeting. It could be for, of all things, HIPAA requests. So I'd like to.
Be glad to meet with them.
As Councilor Alsobrook has said, it's the future, and I think they are not aware of any place in New Mexico that is currently using on a local governmental level AI for something like this. But I think they're offering free of charge for 6 months to a year to take a look at what we have, what we'd like to do, and come up with some stuff.
Counselor, could you send that information by email to Mandy so she can add it to her board?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do. Thank you.
Any other comments? We have a motion and a second so far on this resolution. So, resolution, roll call, Councilor Mira.
After what I just heard in the future here, I'm going to vote no.
Councilor Waldman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight.
Aye.
Councilor Burkett.
Aye.
Councilor Murray.
Yes.
Councilor Alsobrook.
I also vote no.
Okay. Motion does carry. Next item, discussion of MRCOG board memberships.
Would you like me to start off on that discussion, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, so council members, in your packet that was sent to you on Friday, we had a list of who's currently listed on boards representing the village for the Mid-Region Council of Government, different boards. If anybody is wanting to come off a board, or Counselor Waldman, so you are on,
The TCC.
okay. Have they even met recently?
Yes.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I won't
There's not,
take
there's
it up.
never much. on the
Okay, so
agenda.
Counselor Mieta would like to be added. Okay, we can make that
Send
change.
them a letter?
So what we will do is I'll give Mandy the contact information, and she'll send over the changes, and then the COG will reach out to you directly to let you know when those meetings happen.
Melanie, I'm also the backup to Councilor Murray on the MT.
Okay. Do you want to stay on that as the alternate?
Take off of that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need an alternate for the Metropolitan Transportation Board. Is there anybody that is willing to take that on?
Oh.
See if we find something.
Going once, going twice.
Well, I was gonna.
$5. Who's going to give me $5 for this board?
He's vacating two of them, but I see that Mr. Murray's on one of them.
Well, yeah, so we just need an alternate for the Metropolitan Transportation Board.
He's trustworthy as you know what, so.
We don't have to worry about him ever being absent.
He'll give me a call and he'll let me know.
Who needs an alternate?
I'll take that one.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Mieta.
I would also like to find an alternate for the Water Resource Board, because even though it's probably not as functional as it could be, and we've had problems getting quorum with membership, and a lot of communities, even the city of Albuquerque, doesn't even attend, and both of their positions are vacant. But there are issues coming down the line with water, and I think it's best that the village stay informed about that. And but anyway, we do need a second person on
Yeah,
that.
we do show, or the
Apparently it's me.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Are you willing to stay on as the alternate, Counselor Alsobrook? Dr.
Sure.
Alsobrook?
Sure. Although I'd really also like to be alternate for the Rio Metro Transit Board.
Okay.
Although,
Okay.
and that's up to Mel. I don't know if they need one or not.
Yeah, they
But
don't
they
have one
serve-
listed, but we can certainly ask that you be added
Sure.
as an alternate. I don't know if they'll do it, but doesn't hurt to ask.
Counselor Knight, do they still serve good lunches?
I'm always on Zoom.
Ah.
Or they do serve with.
Yeah, go to her house.
Zoom.
Yeah, these on Zoom.
If I else know.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to be removed from their board? Okay, cool. Then we will send these updates over to the COG tomorrow, and you should be getting information from them directly. Thank you,
Thank you very
Counselor.
much. Next item is a closed session. May we have a motion to go into closed session for the discussion of the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights by the public body. May we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Yeah.
By, moved by Councilor Burkett, second by Councilor Knight.
Moved by Council Murray.
Oh, okay. Moved by Councilor Murray.
You're not going to take this arrow out now.
That's right.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you very much.
Seeing you soon.
Okay, any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, we're in.
Okay, Counselor Alsobrook, I'll give you a call. So if you can.
Okay.
Okay. And then don't turn the speakers back on. Woohoo!
Okay, may I have a motion to go back into open session?
is
I
the-
move that we go into open session.
Wait, is it recording? Yes, you're recording. Okay.
So Councilor Murray makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The items discussed in the closed session were mentioned in the item on the agenda, and no votes or decisions were made. Next item, announcements. Future agenda items. Number 1, presentation from Seifel Finance for upcoming bond sale. 2, approval of resolutions for changes to PERA plans for police and fire employees. 3, uniform traffic ordinances changes first reading. 4, draft no parking ordinance discussion. 5, draft noise discussion, ordinance discussion. Any,
Oh, yeah. And then the AI discussion on 324.
okay. Any other items? No. We don't need a motion for this, do we?
No, but if council has anything else they wanted to add.
Okay. So lacking any more business items, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. All right.
Imagine the president still speaking.
Probably.
He said it's going to be long.
We could have been here for another hour and I would have said that.
Exactly what I was looking for. I guess technically we're boycotting.
Yeah.
Boycotting what?
Boycotting the presidential.
Yes.
I was gonna make a motion to amend the agenda, that at 7 o'clock, we turn that into a TV.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I don't think that would get.
Thank you. Thank you.
a Positive vote on that.
Yeah.
So.
Just gonna end, Manny.
Yeah.
In the corner.